Am I staring?
A little.
Sorry. Just have such beautiful skin. I'm Ruby, by the way. Do you have a name, or you want me to guess?
Jessie.
Jessie. Can you just get to LA, Jessie?
How'd you know?
You've got that look. Oh, don't worry, honey. That whole deer in the headlights thing is exactly what they want. Here, let me help you with that.
Are you a model?
No, I do makeup.
Welcome to The Night Before. This is a movie podcast where my husband and I discuss the movie that we watched the night before. We show up at a local place, like a brewery, coffee shop, restaurant. It could be anywhere, we decided at some point. It doesn't have to serve food or drinks, but a local place that we enjoy and kind of want to share, or that we're just kind of doing the next day. So today, we are at one of our favorite, I guess.
Yeah,
My favorite first, and I convinced him that it was our favorite, one of our favorites.
Yeah, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid at first.
Yeah, you didn't drink the Kool-Aid first, but it's called Magnanimous, and it's a brewery in Tampa. And it's a newer brewery. It's only been around for about a year.
Yeah, maybe a year.
And we really enjoy it because we enjoy drinking IPAs. For the most part, we drink other stuff,
Yeah,
but
we drink.
typically when we go to a brewery, we kind of check out the IPAs. And this happens to be the IPA brewery of Tampa.
That's true. It's true.
Because they have usually a pretty extensive list of IPAs, and I have not ordered one that I've disliked.
Never met one you never liked.
Yeah, I've liked some more than others, but I've really enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
Especially the one I'm drinking now.
Yeah, right now you're drinking, I ordered you one called Master of Fist.
Master of Fist.
It's kind of like a kung fu movie,
Double
right?
IPA.
Double IPA with hints of pineapple.
It's delicious.
I'm drinking, inspired by our movie today, the Neon Demon, a double IPA called What Does Your Soul Look Like?
Yes. I like that name a lot. They have a lot of names like that. The one I usually drink is called Most Deadly Things.
Yeah.
They didn't have it today, but they have a lot of fun names like that, as a lot of beers do. But
yeah, so we'll get into that movie in a minute, the Neon Demon. We saw a movie last night. We haven't talked about it much.
But it's been hard not to
so
talk
we've been
about it.
It's a Friday night. It's also kind of rowdy here at Magnanimous.
It is.
This is sort of a popular place after work for people to pop into. It's near downtown Tampa.
It's in the Heights. Well, it's like bordering the Heights in downtown.
Yeah, there's an area they call the Heights in some areas surrounding downtown, Tampa Heights. But it's a cool little small place downtown. It's not necessarily our thing, but they usually have wrestling on the TVs. But right now there's kind of a strange, looks like Korean movie on the...
Like a kung fu movie or something.
Yeah. On
and
the TVs.
Wrestling
so
on
that's
the other
cool.
TV.
So cool spot, good drinks.
And they have this awesome demon-like mural on the wall.
Which looks like Dr. Jacoby from Twin Peaks.
We
if he was-
decided,
if
like,
he
the
was a
first
zombie.
or second time we came in here, we were like watching Twin Peaks at the time, or had just started rewatching it. And it definitely looks like him for sure.
And there's a really great wood-fired pizza truck that camps outside that serves the
Really
best pizza in
good.
Tampa.
It's called Essential Pizza. It's
And so
awesome.
following-
It's really the best pizza in Tampa.
It is. Following this recording, we're going to order some.
We are.
Despite our dietary boundaries that we've set for ourselves, we're going to cross that.
We're breaking all boundaries.
But I want to call this our homecoming episode because as we joked a few episodes ago, that we're never really at breweries or coffee shops anymore lately because we've been in weirder spots. Our front porch,
yeah.
Casadega, Florida. But now we're back. We're back at a brewery.
Yes, we are.
Yeah?
So we are we're back home. This is our hometown. And this is one of our favorite places. And I can't believe we actually haven't recorded here yet. So I'm really glad we're here.
Well, we were looking for the right movie. And after seeing a film like The Neon Demon, we were like, we need a drink. Coffees, we had talked about coffee, talking about this over coffee on today. But we were like, you can't talk about this movie unless alcohol's involved.
That is true. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this movie. I mean, my emotion leaving the movie versus my emotions while researching the movie are completely different, but
Wow.
I kind of love that about it.
Yeah.
I don't. This movie makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, so let's step back a little bit.
Okay.
This movie's directed by Nicolas Winding Refn. And it wasn't on, we have kind of a list of movies we like are working, like, oh, that'll be a good night before movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was not on that list.
No, this was random.
Because
something you found.
I was
but random.
scrolling through Amazon Prime Video, which I rarely scroll through films looking for something. I rarely do that. And so when I saw it and I freaked out because I go, oh, this is by Nicolas Refn. And you're like, I don't know who that is. And
What's your impression of me?
yeah. But more making fun of my geeking out over this thing. It's a movie I didn't know existed, but he's most famously known for directing a movie called Drive, starring Ryan Gosling driving a car, kind of committing robberies to like a really awesome 80s soundtrack. And
I did like that movie
yeah,
a lot.
I think most people who
did.
see it like it.
Yeah.
And then Refn did another film following that, starring Ryan Gosling again, called Only God Forgives, which is
I haven't seen
it's
that.
it's a tough watch. I really liked it, but it's a tough watch. And so I'm a big fan of his. And when I saw that The Neon Demon, something I didn't even know existed, we watched the trailer. You said, let's watch it. So we did.
Yeah. I was intrigued as soon as just watching the trailer, I got Black Swan vibes.
Yeah, that's what you said during it.
And I still slightly did for various reasons that maybe we'll mention through our discussion. But,
It does
it's a
have black.
completely different, like, cinematography and all that. But
Oh, the look and feel. Yeah.
look and feel is completely different, but there's something about it that does give you a little bit of Black Swan
But Black
vibes.
Swan also was a very artistic, stylistic film. Darren Aronofsky, who did Requiem for a Dream, did Black Swan. And like Refn here, it's another like visionary director. So
Yeah.
and they both share the theme of jealousy and envy
Women and
between women
bodies
and body image and
yeah.
all that. They go different paths for sure.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, The Neon Demon. So we just jumped in.
We just jumped in. Why not?
It stars because I think this is a film most people listening either are here listening because they like the film, or they don't. Well, they know the film and they want to hear people talk about it, or they have no idea about this film and they're like, "Is this a film for me?"
Mm-hmm. So we'll probably ruin a lot. So if you think this is a film for you, watch it and then come back to the podcast. Don't you think we'll ruin a lot by talking about it?
Yeah,
Spoilers?
we can't avoid
You can't avoid the
to talk
spoilers.
about this to make it make sense. But at the same time, I think even if we talk about it
It's still
and you
worth
haven't
the
seen
watch.
it, I think it might prepare you for it. I mean, we don't know
Mentally.
our feelings about it. I've been joking about my feelings about it a little bit
Yeah, you have.
prior to this. And
It's kind of been making me mad.
and my feelings have changed
And
a
I said,
bit.
stop talking.
I know.
Well, why are you doing this?
So I think
We don't
even if you
talk
haven't
about it.
seen it, I honestly think you could listen to it wherever. We don't even know where this discussion's going. I think you could listen to the whole discussion, still watch the movie, and
And be shocked.
not only be shocked, but understand it, have your own opinion about it, process it. I don't think it ruins anything.
Okay,
Honestly, I don't.
I'll go with that.
But your own.
So it's a
Yeah.
horror film about
I
beauty.
wouldn't even call it a horror
basically.
film.
I think it is a horror film about beauty.
It's a movie about beauty, but I don't think it's a horror film.
Psychological horror. I don't know. What category would you put it in?
Yeah, I just think it's weird.
It's a weird film that have elements of psychological.
I think it's a David
has-
Lynch film that makes sense.
True. You can follow it.
It's totally followable.
It's totally followable. You don't get lost in the plot line at all, but it's
It's
It's not
artistic
predictable.
for sure, and it's a little pretentious for sure. But I think it's just a weird psychological movie that kind of. I mean, we just don't get movies like this. We don't get movies that is truly, without it, even me saying it, being pretentious. This is like an art house movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vision that's trying to communicate some thoughts about beauty and women.
It didn't come out that long ago. It came out in 2016.
Yep.
Right?
So the basic idea, right? Ella Fanning.
L.
What?
L.
What? Ella? Elle Fanning. I put an A at the end of her name. Elle Fanning is just a young, aspiring model in LA. She's underage. She's 16 years old. But she's trying to break into the fashion industry and it's a very hyper, over-exaggerated presentation of like the fashion world. The most extreme idea of what you think a model and a photographer and those fashion shoots
So
would
what
be.
part do you think is extreme? Because I didn't think any of it was extreme until the end. I think models actually do endure stuff like that.
No, I think I'm talking about early on when her first sample photo shoot and like they smear in gold paint and her face.
I don't think that's
No.
far-fetched. I
No.
really don't.
I don't know if it's far-fetched, but I'm saying it's not just, let's just go do your headshots and your beauty shots. Let's do the hyper-artistic photo shoot. The Italian runway fashion. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because she has like instantaneously caught the eye
Of everyone.
of everyone because she has something that the other girls don't have, and what that is really is like an innocence, a natural beauty, basically, that a lot of the models aren't possessing.
Yeah, she has a unique natural beauty that none of the other models have.
Right.
And so she's instantly,
And she's young and kind of untouched, you know.
yeah, and she's instantly like bypassing all these other established models that have worked their way hard into the industry and have done whatever they have done, whether like have they had plastic surgery, have they slept their way up the
all
you know,
these things
the
are
thing.
kind of presented as things that they've done.
None of it's ever
throughout.
shown, but it's just sort of suggested.
Yeah. Suggested.
And yeah. Here, so that's the movie. And it just takes these weird turns. And this whole idea of like, what is beauty? And so I'll just say this, when it got near the end of the movie, since we're just kind of here, my thought was, this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen in my life.
I did not think that.
No, I had that thought during the movie.
Oh.
This is so dumb.
Well, the movie is about what you just said, but the movie is essentially about female jealousy and narcissism.
Yep.
And where that takes you.
Yeah.
Right? So, and if you're a female and you have been, in any kind of situation where women compare themselves or are in competition for body, looks, whatever, that narcissism and female jealousy exists. Now, the exaggeration of it is the movie, and it is part of the ending, but the realism of it is quite on target, really.
No, and
it's
that's
quite on target.
No, I agree with you 100%, and that's why when I'm watching it, I'm thinking of particularly near the end. There's a photo shoot between two of the models at a pool.
It was really good. That part was really good.
I know, it's really good, honestly. But two of the models played by Bella Heathcote and Abby Lee. And they're the ones who are really jealous of Elle Fanning, the natural beauty, who goes by the name Jessie in the movie. When I'm watching it, they're dressed up in this sort of ridiculous high fashion, high concept thing, and they're being the photo by the super pretentious photographer, played by Desmond Harrington, though people might recognize from Dexter and the Wrong Turn movie, first one. But he's perfect for it. He's like this perfect, just wears all black, doesn't talk except like takes his photos, like. And that's what I'm saying. I was like, oh man, this is so dumb. But that's only because of how this movie, especially the last 20 or so minutes, how it just starts jerking you around with everything when everything flies off the rails, your only reaction is to be dismissive of this film in the moment. And I think a lot of people might be dismissive of it because of the weird stuff that happens at the end and the constant barrage of women in their underwear being ignored, dismissed,
well, I think
critiqued
it's
by
so
men.
Uncomfortable
Yes.
in so many parts of the movie. It's just constantly, purposely uncomfortable, and I love that about it, and I hate that about it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what. So I was like kind of joking when I'm like, "This is the dumbest movie I've ever seen." That thought's in your head.
Yeah.
But the reality is, this is a movie that while you're watching it, even when you're done watching it, it constantly flip-flops on you and saying, this might be the dumbest thing I've ever seen, or this might be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, from the get-go, you're uncomfortable for her. She's essentially alone. She's barely 16.
Yeah, she moved to LA on her own. Her parents are dead
parents
or
are dead
gone,
They're
or
not
she
part
says
of the
they're
picture.
dead, yeah.
She has a friend that she's met, Dean. He was an aspiring photographer.
She met him on Craigslist.
Right.
Like the day she got to LA.
Yeah, but they become friends.
Yeah.
And I really did appreciate his character. And he was the only thing that was not uncomfortable. Like, they could have made him prey on her in some way.
I think he played a good role of...
I liked his character.
He was like the audience. He was the voice of reason as the person watching this at home.
He's probably slightly older than her, maybe 23, 25.
Yeah, because that was the funny joke.
Enough.
We're sitting early in the movie, right? There's that scene where they're sitting out on like Lookout Point overlooking LA. She's talking about her aspirations. I think she's from Georgia, I think she might have said. her aspirations of living at home, looking at the stars and the moon at night, asking if the moon can see her, right? And, I mean, obviously this is leading towards a path of romantic interlude, like make out.
Because he obviously thinks she's beautiful.
Yeah, of course, he's enthralled with her beauty as well. And we're, as audience members watching this, a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's a little tedious because
she's 16.
well, we don't know she's 16 yet.
I think
We know she's young. And
she tells him.
yeah, but it's like tedious. You're watching it. You're a little uncomfortable. The way Refn does his films, when I mentioned David Lynch, there are long, pregnant pauses in between people speaking. There's a lot of just people looking at each other and not saying things. And that's what's great about this movie. I think it's better when people don't speak in this movie than when they do. But
Well, the difference between David Lynch films and the long pauses of not speaking and this film of the long pauses of not speaking is that it's really centered, the long pauses are very much centered on their gaze, the gazes. So there's like different gazes, like the women gazing at each other in jealousy.
Yep.
There's the men gazing as like predators.
Oh, the predators, yeah.
And there's the gaze of Elle, or Jessie, when she is in a situation that's uncomfortable of her gazing and going into herself.
Yeah.
You can see her eyes. She plays that part so well of like she's being
No, she's really good.
manhandled by this, like you said, the photographer smearing paint all over her
Desmond
naked
Harrington.
body.
Yeah.
And they're just focusing on her eyes, her gaze, and she's kind of like going into her own
Well,
self.
first embarrassment and
you can
shame.
see all those emotions without her saying
But then
anything.
it becomes like empowerment.
Yeah.
No, but back to him, the pseudo boyfriend, Dean.
Yeah. Well, he's not a boyfriend.
No. He wants to be her boyfriend. But that's what I'm saying. He's kind of like to get past him, because he just has a small little part in this movie. But he does serve, I think, the good role of the voice of reason as the audience member, because once he asked her at that lookout point, like, how old are you? And she said 16. And we joked at home when we saw this, and we said, okay, time to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's even what he said. He goes, oh, I think I gotta go.
Yeah.
I left the stove on or something. He says a good little joke, and he gets up, and so he has that moment of he realizes who she
Ethical
is.
reasoning.
That dilemma, his moral dilemma. But at the same time, he continues to pursue her in a relationship. But also kind of serves as her.
Not in a threatening physical way.
No. He's not the predatory type. He wants to kind of care.
He's just enthralled with her. He wants to protect her.
And he's there for her a couple times. And he does sort of serve the role as like her knight in shining armor. And well, like the voice of reason for the audience and her sort of knight to save her. But that is one of the great things about this movie. He wants to be her savior. But that's again a very male viewpoint of the male has to protect the female, especially this young, vulnerable girl. She doesn't need it. She kind of pushes him aside. Yes, a lot of it's her own narcissism and her ego. But she even tells the other person who's infatuated with her, the makeup artist, the woman who is enthralled with her as well, says, I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
Like, I only made 4 notes from this movie.
She wants to take care of her, too, because she's worried about her. I mean, she's 16. Mm-hmm. She wants to take care of her, and she's in love with her.
She meets early on. She meets with she's in love with her.
At first, you really don't know if she's just, like, enthralled with her as a makeup artist, wants to protect her because she's so young and she knows the business, But then you quickly realize that no, she's in love with her.
Yeah, that's played by Jenna Malone. Her character's name's Ruby.
She does a great job in that film.
And early on, when the photographer takes all of Elle's clothes off, Elle Fanning's clothes off, and photographs her, Ruby tries to stay close, the makeup artist, and then afterwards sticks around so she can see how it went, and then says, "Hey, if you ever need me, call me. I'm here to protect you." And Elle
That was
Fanning,
like, it was great. It was fine. Whatever.
Not only that, she then goes, "I'm not as helpless as I look."
Yeah.
And kind of almost this look to the camera, too, saying to the audience, yeah, I'm this, quote, beautiful 16-year-old girl in L.A. amongst all these predators. I'll take care of myself.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not this helpless damsel in distress. And that's where the boyfriend figure of Dean, it's funny, a lot more movies would have taken the route of him sort of the person to help her.
Yeah.
And she pushes him to the side, just like she
Well,
ultimately
and at
does
some
with Ruby.
point in the movie, there's a transformation scene, right? She transforms kind of during the Redway show.
Yeah.
During that scene,
One of the more over-the-top artistic scenes in the movie.
She's picked to be the closer of the show.
Of a runway show.
And she,
But instead
during that scene where she walks the runway and everything's kind of blurry and she's staring at this shape, this triangular shape.
So what I liked is instead of filming it as a normal runway of someone walking down the catwalk and everybody sitting on either side looking, it's just black.
Yeah.
The screen is just black. It's her, but not even her whole body. It's like shoulders up,
Her
walking
face,
walking towards triangles, like these sort of triangles in shape of a mountain.
But after that scene, she kind of transforms. The way she dresses
Well,
transforms.
she changes, right? But what happens, right?
The way she treats Dean transforms.
Well, everything changes. She even looks a little different.
Yeah.
They use the shading.
Her hair is different.
Her hair is sort of like that. You've seen it in movies. Spider-Man. You probably haven't seen Spider-Man Part 2. But they do the same thing when Tobey Maguire turns like bad Spider-Man. His hair changes. But yeah, she parts her hair different.
Yes.
It changes to like a red glow on her.
So this is where her like narcissism has set in.
Yeah,
it's like
the Greek story of Echo and Narcissus.
Echo and Narcissus. She's like staring into the water
her own
at
reflection.
herself, falling in love with herself. Yes, and she has done that in that transformation
this is the story. Well, she's even kissing her own reflection because she walks down
like Narcissus
in the pool of water,
looking at the water, saying, "I love you, I love you,
You're so
I love
beautiful."
you. You're so beautiful."
No, and that's one of the things. That's why I said after the movie, like this is a Greek myth.
Yeah.
A loose retelling of it.
But there's a couple Greek myths involved in
Well, and this is one thing that Refn, the director, does.
Okay.
Like.
I didn't know that because I did research, but I didn't find anything on that. But there's a couple, I think, Greek myths intertwined.
Yeah,
in
but
this
so just to end on
but
this.
But that section is definitely a narcissist.
Well,
the kissing, all of that.
That's the thing. She walks down the runway. She gets to this triangle, and the triangle by that for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's just like almost like a neon. It's a series of triangles that make a mountain shape. And her reflections on each side of her. So there's 3 faces of her, and she turns each side and she kisses each side of herself.
Right.
Like she's in the pool with Narcissus, which is also how she meets her demise, which is in a swimming pool.
Yes.
As well.
It's very parallel.
By a person, Ruby, who's obsessed and in love with her. But
she rejects
rejects and pushes her away, just like Narcissus did to Echo as well.
Because he kind of threw herself on her.
Yeah, in the movie Ruby.
And in Echo and Narcissus, Echo kind of throws herself on him.
Yeah.
And she's rejected. And
And that's to me where the movie gets really good at that runway scene, where she does make her transformation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She becomes full-blown, like, ego, full of herself, narcissistic, purely vain in beauty.
Which like, I was thinking, oh my gosh, she's become this. But at the same time, I was thinking, but don't you have to become that if you're in that situation? Don't you have to believe that you are more beautiful than everyone else? Or you do not exude that quality? You know, don't you have to obtain that kind of confidence in order to make it to the top? Like, I think people, celebrities, models, and stuff that make it to the top, oh, they're so vain, they're so narcissistic, they're so whatever. But don't you have to, in some capacity,
Yeah, you have to believe you're the best to be the best.
You have to believe it, yeah. And I feel like that was part of it. Like, she had to own it in order, because she was so kind of a little bit not confident. But she, the girls, that one line in it when the girls were like, somebody asked her, like, if she thought she was beautiful. Or no, nobody thinks they said, like, nobody thinks they're beautiful. Everybody has things they want different. And she was like,
oh, that was by Abby Lee, one of the other models.
I think I'm beautiful.
She said, yeah, I know I'm beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
And, yeah, in order to not meet your demise, you have to believe that
but then
you
it's
are
ultimately
the best. But it is her demise.
It's also your demise at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like your strength and your weakness. No, it was that part that really clicked on me, because even before that, yeah, it was a good movie, and it was interesting. But I love how the movie played with your expectations. And it's not even the first, maybe it is the first half. You're just feeling sorry for this young girl in this predatory world. She's even staying at a very seedy motel outside of LA in Pasadena.
Very seedy.
Run by Keanu Reeves, which we'll talk about Keanu in a little bit. But even in there's this, at one point she comes home after one night being out, and there is like a lion or a jaguar in her room, right? Just, a slap in the face of this idea of the predators all around her, right?
Yeah.
She's in a city of predators. And you're thinking, oh, this is a movie about a city and an industry that's going to
eat her alive,
which we'll get to a little bit as well. And the movie shifts your expectation in the fact of, though it might eat her alive, it's not in the way you think.
Right.
It's not the city and the predators that
it's not the normal.
She's preying on the predators. And that's when that runway scene flips it, and that's when you're like, oh wow, this is
different.
This is something else.
Yeah, different, very different.
But to get there, they presented all of the quote, like the stuff that would make you uncomfortable, the stuff that somebody who wouldn't give themselves a minute to think about it would say, oh, this is just a misogynistic, exploitative movie towards women.
I thought about that at
the first half you have to be thinking about it.
I am definitely sensitive to that. But
yeah,
I have to say, even through the first half, and especially at the end, even though at the end I was like, I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
Like this, there were so many parts that I was like, oh, I have to close. I can't even watch this.
Oh, it's a queasy movie.
But
we haven't even got to the queasy stuff.
I did not think it was misogynistic.
No.
At all.
Well, I think if you look at the style and the substance and the way it's presented, even in the first half, yeah, I think a person looking at that stuff would not categorize as that. But I think if somebody who's not paying attention to that would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, somebody with this much artistic intent, this movie, which we haven't talked about, looks beautiful. It's striking.
Yeah.
It's not just neon, which so many movies are neon now. And Drive was neon, his other movie. Only God Forgives was neon. But this looks even better in just... I said it when it was just the title screen and the people's names.
Yeah.
I said, this movie is amazing.
Yes, I liked
So if you
how it
see
was
that,
filmed.
you're like, there's no way somebody's making this sexist, misogynistic
No.
film.
It's definitely not misogynistic.
Exploitive.
And even through, I am like as you've heard it, if you listen to the other podcast,
Yeah. You hated
I was
Mank.
not I was going to just bring up Mank. How did you know? I was not offended by this movie at all. However, just that woman sitting in the office in Mank, I was offended by. That bothered me.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
movie, a whole room of women in their bra and underwear sitting, waiting to be judged, did not bother me.
And
was
then
it
just being
uncomfortable?
dismissed by men.
And
Yeah.
being dismissed by men. But because there was something about the way it was filmed and the storyline that did not make it offensive, or it was real. Like, this is what happens to women. Like, feel it. Like, watch this movie and feel it. This is what happens to women if they're ballerinas, if they're gymnasts, if they're models, if they're in fashion, this happens to women
I know.
constantly.
Yeah. Well, every other woman in this movie,
Constantly.
it seemed, were victims of some sort.
Yes. Artists.
Except Elle. She was a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
She remained a virgin throughout this movie.
And she was sexualized for sure for being the age of 16, but she didn't give in to the sexualization.
That's what I mean. Well, she also knew her.
She knew she was being sexualized.
But what made her?
But she knew she could make money from it.
But also, what made her special was her innocence and her virginity, and the fact that she hadn't been with anybody and intimate. She hadn't had any plastic surgery or work. She wasn't artificial and fake. She hadn't been. She hadn't been tainted by all of it. She took it all herself. She took it and turned it into power for herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is actually the opposite of misogynistic.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. This is a very
so
strong
when I go back and I read
film.
some reviews that say like, oh, it's misogynistic, it's sexualizing girls, I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, I really don't feel like it is. Some people had said that. It was very controversial when it came out.
Yes.
Also because
there was nothing sexy about this movie.
When Elle filmed this film, she was 16.
Well, that's the thing. You're watching
when
this?
it came out, she was 18.
You're watching this, and you're like... we saw a buddy we haven't seen for a long time here at Magnanimous, so we were waving, and he was like... He pointed to our microphones.
So
no, but that's the thing. You're watching this?
She was
Here's
16 when she was filming this. Think about this.
Oh, I know.
We have a child that is 17, and I could not imagine this happening. And so I was really curious, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. I don't want to transition to it now, of her thoughts now about filming that film at 16. So I did research that, because I felt that was an interesting take.
Well, that's my thought about this movie. Like, anybody who claims this movie is sexist or misogynistic or exploitive, I'm like, the fact, I think it's strategic. I don't think you need to have the fact that she's a 16-year-old girl. I don't think for plot it's relevant. But I think, the story. I think it could be a 16-year-old. I think it could be a 26-year-old.
Yeah, but it feeds into the uncomfortable.
Yes, I think as an audience member, we need it. I think you need the fact to be like, wait a minute, you're looking at a 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
All these people are looking at a 16-year-old girl. You should be uncomfortable.
Oh, and when that person, when they were walking in their underwear and they were deciding, and he was just like taken by her. It was very uncomfortable.
His jaw dropped.
His jaw dropped. He was taken because he's looking at a child's body. And she is that thin and that non-sexual, really, her body, because she is a child.
So this movie, and then I think the other piece is, and then you have, which also I think there's two levels. We'll talk about this now, because then I think we should talk about the whole other turn the movie takes for the viewers. Keanu Reeves is the last little predator. Me too. The predator piece, right?
Yes.
So Keanu runs the motel she's in, and Dean, I just want to call Dean the boyfriend. We know he's not the boyfriend, but Dean.
But he's not the boyfriend. But
Dean
he's
comes there to take care of some business.
He's the prince in shining armor.
What, the wannabe
Yeah.
prince in shining armor. Dean goes to take care of some stuff with Keanu, the owner of the motel, because of the Jaguar destroyed the room, and Keanu's making.
I like how you call it the Jaguar.
It is a Jaguar. I don't think it's like a mountain lion.
It's a lion of some sort.
Yeah, it looks like a Jaguar to me.
Whatever.
Regardless.
It's a large cat, a
This
wild cat.
large wild cat destroys the room, and Keanu is making Jesse, pay for the room, pay for the damages. So Dean comes down to take care of it. After Dean takes care of it and just agrees to pay for the money for the damages, regardless of the fact that that's a bigger issue about why there's this wild cat in your room and you shouldn't have to pay for that. But anyway, Keanu then says, if she's not putting out, I'm paraphrasing, if she's not putting out for you.
Yeah, because you would never say those words.
There is a 13-year-old staying in room 214.
Like a prostitute or a runaway.
She's a runaway. And he says something
she needs
like,
money.
this is real Lolita shit, which Lolita is a movie about sleeping with an underage girl. And it's like the vilest, grossest thought
Terrible.
you have in the movie. But I think it's in there to even remind you that, like, just all the sexualization that's going, even with Elle and this young 16-year-old girl. But then Keanu keeps saying it, right? He's like, I can't remember what he says. Like, you got to try it or you got to go after it or something. Remember, he's yelling something as, and then later we learn
he
that
goes in and
he
he tries to get into Elle's room,
Keanu
Jesse's
Reeves.
room, Keanu, and the purpose being he's just bored and wants to
and he either rapes,
sex with someone.
or attacks or
kills
both
her.
the 13-year-old girl next door. And that's the whole like first half, 70% of the movie.
And she listens to it. Jesse
She listens to it through the wall.
Yeah.
But that is, it's almost like, to use a phrase my 14-year-old son told me the other day, that's almost like a red herring of what this movie's really about, right? Like we think as viewers, it's all about the predatory nature of all of this, right?
Right.
And I only say what my 14-year-old, I was shocked when he told me, when he used the phrase red herring in a sentence.
Yeah.
And I said, you're actually learning something in school.
Symbolic. Yeah.
And he goes, I know what red herrings are. I know.
Impressive.
Jaw on the floor.
So they do learn something during the day at school.
So yes, so all of that long explanation is about the predatory nature of things in this movie. But that's not what this movie's really about. And it flips your expectation as a viewer.
Yes.
Because following that rape that she hears through the thing, that's when
she calls Jenna Malone.
That's when Jesse goes to Jenna Malone,
photographer
Ruby.
Woman who's
Not photographer,
in love with her.
The makeup artist.
Oh, makeup artist. Sorry.
But it's recording now.
Okay. Ugh. I have a couple more things I want to say about this movie.
Then let's. So what else? So that's the first. We haven't gotten to the biggest spoiler stuff.
We haven't.
But is there other? You said there were other things.
Well, I don't know where this goes, if it's like at the end or at the beginning. It's not about the ending, but it's just about the movie concept in general.
Yeah.
And about the actress, about Elle. So I could talk about it now before we talk about the ending. So Elle, researching her, I thought it was really interesting that she was only 16 when she filmed this, because that's a big role for her. So she did a couple interviews recently, after the Me Too movement,
Yeah.
about how she felt about Refn, is that his name?
Refn, yeah.
As a director.
Nicolas Refn. Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of people at the time, he was an easy director to root for him to fail because he was a bit of a bro.
Is he a bro?
Apparently, because all of his movies before this were very like male.
No, he's very masculine, and that's what I thought was interesting about this movie. He's European, he's Danish, I think.
So this was his first movie into woman kind of.
But that's the thing.
issues.
It's like, if you think about it, right? And that's what I thought was interesting about this. Yes, he makes very masculine movies. But I think it's almost like a critique on masculinity is his films.
Okay.
Because think about Drive, if you remember it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drive is all about Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling's the Dean character from this movie in Drive. But the difference in Drive, right, is that male fantasy of, I'm going to win over this woman and protect her, right? Because it's about a woman with an abusive husband and the child, and he's gonna be the savior, and he is the savior in Drive, right?
Right.
The quiet savior who looks like a badass and is awesome. Well, again, I love Drive, but I think Drive appeals to that male fantasy of being the knight in shining armor for women, right? So I get that. And I know you haven't seen Only God Forgives, but we watched a little bit of the trailers and stuff prior to this when I was like, oh man, Only God Forgives, that's a heavy movie. That's a movie, right, about as a male, as a son, Ryan Gosling, trying to appease and please his mother. And as a male, it's about mother-daughter, mother-son relationships. And in this case, the mother completely screws up him.
Right.
And he's out trying to avenge his dead brother just to appease his mother.
That's another great myth.
Yeah, right. No, that's what I remember when I was saying it. I was like, that's another Greek myth.
Yeah.
The Only God Forgives. And so, up to this point, Nicolas Refn has focused on very male-centric themes and stories. I don't think they're these like bro movies, but I think they're exploring the masculine side of things. Like I said, the idea of being the knight in shining armor, and then the other side of, as a son, those unique relationships sons have with mothers as they get older. And like I said, Only God Forgives is all about appeasing your mother.
Right.
And his mother's expectations are unattainable. And that's why, right? And we even watched the ending scene of Only God Forgives, where his mother's dead, and he's sticking his hands inside of her womb.
Her stomach.
Her stomach, right? But it's to represent the womb and the return there, right? Trying to get reconnected with mom.
He seems to do that a lot with bodies and blood.
Yes. And now this was interesting in the fact, sitting and watching The Neon Demon, this is the complete opposite. This is all about
so
the female.
Yeah, so she said Elle Fanning's take on working with him was that he gave her freedom and influence, that she had a lot of, even at 16, she had a lot of influence over the process in which she filmed and how she did things. And Jenna Malone said the same thing, that
Ruby,
he let her pretty much direct her own necrophilia scene.
Oh, so you're going there.
So he kind of let her do that in whatever way made her comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was so not comfortable, but it was comfortable for her. But his take on it is, at the time that he filmed this, or he's wondering, he has a wife and he had a wife and a 13-year-old daughter.
He dedicated this film to his wife.
He's just wondering, he said, my wife was born beautiful.
Yeah.
And what is it like to be born beautiful? where everybody looks at you and thinks you're beautiful. And then he saw his 13-year-old daughter
Yeah.
all of a sudden going through puberty and being in this world of predators,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we talk about often.
Right.
So thankful we don't have daughters.
Right. Of these predators that now he has this blooming 13-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
and he's looking around and he's like, what is this world that these women that live with me exist in that is completely different from the world I exist in? So, of course, this movie is the extreme of that.
Of course. Well, that's what I meant earlier when I said like hyper-realized version of it. So
my last thing I'll save till the ending because it's more part of the ending.
Well, I do want to, what I'm going to say is I have one more question for you. And then what I'll say is for anybody who's gotten this far but still hasn't seen the movie, if you don't want to see how it ends, we'll give you like a little heads up. But I do want to take like 5 minutes at the end to talk about the end. But it seems like you like this movie quite a bit.
I did. When it ended, I can't say I walked away going like, oh man, I love this
That's what I mean.
movie.
It ends and you're like, I don't know if this was really good or really dumb.
I was extremely uncomfortable. There were scenes that I could hardly look at.
Same.
Multiple scenes, the dance club, the artistic in the beginning.
Oh, that strobe
with all
effect.
The strobe effect,
yeah.
That. The painting scene where he was rubbing paint all over her body. Just being a woman, it was hard for me to like watch him prey on her like that. And the necrophilia scene was very difficult to watch. I mean, there were so many scenes that were difficult.
Or Keanu, the knife in her mouth.
Keanu and the knife in her mouth. I mean, so many scenes that I looked away from and I was like, why? I was like, and even when it ended and we went to bed, I was kind of like, but then I thought, this is a movie that made you feel something and made you think about it and made you not want to look away. I mean, you had to look away, but you didn't want to look away. Mm-hmm. And that's not what you get from a lot of movies these days.
No, movies like this are rare, and I said I joke at the beginning. This movie.
So yeah, I did like it.
I really like it too.
It didn't.
This is one of my favorite movies I've seen in recent memory. But it's funny.
It was a difficult movie to like. For the reasons of the uncomfortability, it was hard to like walk away and say, "Oh man, I love that movie."
No, it doesn't end. It doesn't end with, "Oh, that was great," or it doesn't even end.
You walk away feeling uncomfortable.
You walk away feeling uncomfortable. You walk away feeling like, "What did I just watch? Was this?" You walk away with the thought of, "Was this even any good?
Right.
Like, was this even a good movie?" Mm-hmm. And that's why I say, that's why I opened up with the line like,
"You do have to digest it a bit."
This was the dumbest movie I've ever seen, because I think that would be the opening statement from a lot of people after sitting through it. Mm-hmm. Because that's just your natural, your knee-jerk reaction. This movie is ridiculous.
That was not my knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. My knee-jerk reaction was, this movie made me so uncomfortable.
Well, that's what I'm thinking 85% of it makes you uncomfortable. The last 15%, you're like, what, did we just like jump the shark here? Like, what is... Mm-hmm. But I think it needed that for its point. And I think that's where we get to the last little part. Again, I don't feel it spoils it for anybody, because I think if you are taking notes as you go in your mind and trying to figure out what's happening, even though the movie jerks you around at the end, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, Elle, the character of Jesse, if you get so self-consumed in your own beauty and narcissism, your only end is death.
Of course.
Right? And,
I mean, they're going to eat her alive.
And they did. And the movie tells you this
in the very beginning.
What line do the other girls ask her who end up killing her and eating her?
Are you food or sex?
Are you food or sex?
Yeah.
Is what they ask her. Mm-hmm. And she clearly isn't sex.
No.
She's food. And she is, and it's another one of those, I don't know if it's a Greek myth or whatever it is, but it's that idea of consuming and eating the beauty to get it yourself.
I don't know
Right.
that. I mean, I know a lot of Greek myth. I don't know that as being
But
a Greek myth. It could be.
it's a folktale or thing about
Yeah.
to gain the beauty of another, you have to
bathe in the blood.
You bathe in their
of,
blood and you consume them.
Yeah.
And this is ultimately what
It's cannibalism.
Ruby. Yeah, this movie deals not only in necrophilia,
Cannibalism.
but in cannibalism.
They basically eat her.
Well, they say they eat her. They even say, like, we ate her.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. The three girls, the pyramid, if you will, the triangle, right?
The two models. The makeup artist.
And the makeup artists.
Kill her.
And then not only do they kill her, and you're like, oh, are they just killing her out of jealousy? No, they're not only killing her.
They bathe in her blood.
They bathe in her blood. They eat her.
Eat her. Parts of her.
Just to gain her essence.
Just to gain her essence, her beauty, have her inside of them.
Yep. And Ruby, the makeup artist who was in love with her, like Echo, she doesn't die necessarily, but the last we see of Echo or Ruby, the makeup artist, is she lies down in a shallow grave she dug. And she just lies there, right?
Yeah.
Which we know Echo dies in the woods by herself.
Wastes away.
Yeah, and not to say that's what happened to Ruby, but it's very symbolic in the fact that that's where she just disappears. The other two models go on to another job. And one of them, it works. She catches the eye of the photographer, and she gets put...
She's a model in real life, actually, that one. I researched her.
That's probably, that's what, Abby Lee?
Abby Lee,
yeah. And Heathcote.
I don't know if the other one is. Yeah. But the other one gets sick.
The one who gets sick, right? Who's the one that gets sick? That's what I was thinking about. The one who had all the plastic surgery and all the artificialness.
Yeah.
She couldn't contain the essence of Elle in her body.
The natural beauty.
And she throws it up. She ends up stabbing and killing herself.
And then she feels like she has to get her out of her, so she stabs and kills herself. And that was dramatic. Like, I was not expecting that ending. You don't expect any of that ending.
No, that's what I'm saying. Some people
I thought maybe they might kill her. That wasn't that unexpected. But at the same time, I thought... I didn't expect that to happen. I definitely didn't expect that.
That's what I mean. That's why I think some people might say that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, right?
I don't think that's dumb.
No, I don't think it's dumb either. I'm saying...
I think it's very symbolic.
That's what I'm saying. Unless you sit and think of the symbolism and the metaphor of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
She throws her up. And what does she throw up? She throws up a complete...
Eyeball,
right? And then the other model, who is fine, eats it.
Because she's so desperate to be... young and beautiful, and there's just like this desperateness out of all these women in this industry to be thin and beautiful and perfect and everything. Yeah. And it's so depicted so well in this movie, I feel like.
That's what I mean. It's like it's
not like it's not true.
And
it's
in some
true.
cases, it's almost hilarious, this movie. It's funny. I made the joke to you saying this was a very funny movie. And I think it is a funny movie in a very dark sense of humor type of way.
Yeah, I mean, all of this, yeah. Well, it's funny, and yeah, especially like it's funny in that way. But this is like a true world that these women live in. I mean, when women models are body shamed for being a size 4,
yes,
or size 6, 4 or 6, because they're not a size 0. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like crazy that those are the standards.
No, it was a movie that surprised me that there were so many jokes in it. Like, even at the end.
Well, very dark jokes.
Yes, at the very end, right? After they've eaten Elle, they're at that photo shoot, and another model is saying, have you ever asking the women who just ate Elle, saying, have you ever had another model
take a job
from you, steal a job from you. And she's like, yeah, I have.
What did you do?
She goes, I ate her,
I ate her.
is what she says.
Face. Like,
And-
really?
Yeah, and as an audience
And
member,
the girl laughs, like, huh?
as an audience member, you're like, wow, that's dark.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, there's all these little one-liners that
Are perfectly placed.
they're perfectly placed. They're not cheesy. Even the line at they're talking about lipstick at the beginning of the movie, but even that line of "Are you food
Sex
or
or
are you
food?"
sex or are you food?" And again, it just shows you that the director Refn is doing a very serious film and a very thoughtful artistic thing, but at the same time, I'm also doing this sort of semi-sleazy, trashy,
dark comedy
about fashion and beauty and feminism and narcissism, and I'm doing this satire at the same time. Like, I'm having fun with a super serious topic and a movie that is going to end with necrophilia and cannibalism.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
And that's what I find so enjoyable about this movie is for something that is so pretentious at times, does not take itself seriously at all either.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I meant earlier when I'm like, man,
I
this
think
is so
reviewers
dumb.
that called it misogynistic or this or that, they're taking it too seriously. They're not getting the dark humor part of it.
Well, not even the dark humor, just the overall,
Although I did like
I think it's a movie that's keenly aware of what it's doing and what it's
Yeah.
trying to say.
I
think the only thing that some people might have issue with, there's the two women in the shower. It's a little long
it's too much.
of them naked,
with their breasts and all that. Yeah. It's a little much.
getting the blood off themselves. I felt that was a little much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was their moment of glory. That was their moment where those women felt beautiful again, even though they were covered in the blood of another person. I felt, oh, this is that one moment where these two models who never feel beautiful,
Felt beautiful.
even though they are gorgeous,
Yeah.
never feel beautiful ever, and they feel
Beautiful.
number one at this one moment. So I felt, okay, I get that.
I felt the one line I thought was a little displaced in the movie was they kept saying over and over was the beauty is dangerous. She would say it like beauty is dangerous. And I kept thinking in that was like, is beauty dangerous or are the people around her dangerous?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what
not
is
in the-
dangerous? I mean,
Or
beauty
just-
is not dangerous.
Or just is the pursuit of beauty is dangerous.
The pursuit of beauty can be dangerous, but she kept saying beauty is dangerous, beauty is dangerous. And I'm like, no, the people around you are dangerous. The people that can't stand that you're beautiful are dangerous. And it's the same thing I think now, presently, I think it's very like present. If a woman is beautiful or too smart or whatever, like they're kind of, people don't like that person.
Yeah.
And they aren't liked by their peers or aren't liked by their workplace, as you see in like Bombshell, like movies like that. But if you're beautiful and smart and all of this, beauty is dangerous. But it's not really. It's the predators around her that can't stand that she's beautiful that are dangerous.
Yeah,
so that was
everybody-
the only like part that I kept saying, like that line or that concept doesn't flow with the rest of the movie, I felt. But
But a lot of the other lines are right on point, right? Beauty isn't everything. It's the only thing.
yes.
Right.
Well, yeah. For them in that industry,
That's what I mean.
beauty is the only
that's
thing.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. So going back to the Greek myth thing, I know
yeah.
like right after the movie you mentioned like you're going to know this because you're
I
into
was
Greek
just
myths.
thinking of narcissists.
I wasn't thinking of narcissist. I was not. And until I started thinking about the transformation scene and the kissing and that came later.
And the pool at the end of the movie.
I was thinking of two things. I was thinking of Helen of Troy.
Okay.
So Helen of Troy, it's a war, like her beauty is a possession. So they're fighting. She's the most beautiful woman
Yeah.
in the world. And to own this woman is the biggest prize. So wars, death, all of this happened just in order to possess her as the most beautiful woman in the world. I was thinking of that. And then I was thinking of like a lot of the hypnotic part of the movie was like in Greek mythology, like the sirens are
Yeah, I
like,
can see that.
you know, like you can't resist the beauty, which is really how the person acted who, when they were walking in their underwear,
Yeah.
acted, and also the makeup artist woman acted like her beauty was like
for the other
irresistible,
people.
like the siren.
Yeah, I think there's areas in that. And
But then the narcissist and echo thing was definitely a theme, but I think it was really a combination of a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like,
that
Greek
was my thought.
mythology.
Like between the Ruby and Jesse, the sort of infatuation, the Echo and Narcissus story.
yeah.
And then even the fact that Echo's from a mountain, right? Which is, that's triangle you see throughout the movie.
Yeah.
You know. But no, I think it's... So the last question, I think it's both agreed that we both like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've already said it's one of my favorite movies I've seen in a while.
I liked it a lot.
But I lean heavier towards anything that is trying to break the norm of and try to tell a story in an interesting way.
Or anything memorable or makes you feel something during the movie is worth watching.
I've always said I'm worth something that
We've seen a lot of movies where we're just like, okay,
We've
at the end.
watched a couple movies
lately,
and we're like, we're not going to talk about that because that was not worth talking about.
We have. There's nothing to talk about. We were just like left the movie and was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Never. This movie, like I said, I struggled with at the end of it. Like, did I like that? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I liked it a lot. But, so the question is, though, the bigger question is, how do you recommend this movie, if at all, to folks? Like, normally we're like, hey, we recommend this movie. Do you recommend this movie with hesitation or
I don't think
stipulations?
this movie is for everyone.
No, it's not.
I think it's a great movie, and if you can look at it with an open mind and see the symbolism and artistic nature behind it, I think it's a great movie to watch. But
I agree.
if you're, this movie would be canceled if you're in that movement, right?
No. I don't think the movie should be canceled at all.
No, I'm saying the people that are canceling everything these days, it could be criticized for...
If you don't give yourself... Okay, I highly recommend the movie unless...
I highly recommend
the movie unless you're willing... If you're willing to be challenged as a viewer, and you're willing to sit and reflect on the film.
Right, yeah. Because you're going to walk away feeling uncomfortable. But if
Not
you're
even
willing
walk away,
to
you're going to sit through it uncomfortable.
Yeah. But if you're willing to walk away from it and think about what the movie did and what it was trying to do, then, yeah, I highly recommend it. But if you're going to walk away feeling like, I hate this movie, it's uncomfortable, why am I watching this, then just turn it off,
I'm going to tell you this. I feel like I found, like, a little gift in July.
From the movie?
Yeah, not knowing... Again, I've been a fan of Nicolas Refn's work. To learn that he had a film that I wasn't aware of, and that it's free on Amazon Prime in 4K was a gift. And on top of that, which maybe, I know we're going to explore it, following this movie, he put out a 10-episode TV series on Amazon called Too Young to Die Old.
So we'll explore that.
And we're going to watch that, no question.
For sure.
All right.
We're fans.
This is a long episode.
It is.
But I think it was worth it for the Neon Demon.
Absolutely.
My IPA's
My
gone.
glass is empty.
Yours is gone.
Cheers.
Cheers. And we will
This
talk
was
to
fun.
you. It's good to be back at the brewery.
We're back. We're back, baby.
And we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.